Coach Bill Cleary, we're going to jump into recruiting. We talk as coaches about finding the right kids and building the right programs and having those foundational kids that we need. I loved how you talked about swagger and finding kids who are never satisfied.
Yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
gotten have you gotten to the point in your career where you can identify that kid that has that confidence you're looking for, has that determination? Does it translate from high school to college the way you'd hope it would? Or do you see that they have to fail no matter what the swagger is, no matter if they have that attitude in high school that they're never satisfied? Do they have to fail when they get to you to figure out what that looks like going forward?
They don't have to fail, but I think sometimes it helps. You know what I mean? Because that's how you learn. It's how you get better. I think working with today's generation, and I don't mean this in a negative way in any way, they're more perfectionist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think they haven't failed because someone or something has covered them so they don't have to, so they didn't have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when they come here, it's interesting now. A lot of times when they come here, it's the first time they're being told their effort's not good enough. It's the first time that they're finding out that there's other players that are just as good or if not better. And it's the first time where they're going, oh my, they're looking around. Oh my God, do I really belong? One of my favorite stories, Catherine Nowak. Catherine, I'm sorry, but it's one of my favorite. You know, I love you. But Catherine was a freshman and she was going up against Dana Wheeler. Now, Dana Wheeler is just a rookie of the year. She's a sophomore. They both know each other. They went to the same high school. They grew up together. And I went to Dana. I'm like, yo, show her no mercy. And that's all Dana needed to hear. And Dana showed her no mercy.
Unleash the hounds.
She just, and so Kat was just like, oh my God. Because Dana had gotten so much better from her freshman year to her sophomore year. Like, so much better. And there was a couple of reasons why I did that intentionally. Number one, how's Catherine going to get better? And two, Catherine, this is what you're going to look like next year. I'm going to do the same thing with you to any of the incoming freshmen that's coming in. So just understand this is, unfortunately, it's a rite of passage in our program. So after the individual, Catherine comes out to me. She's in tears. She's just absolutely in tears. And she goes, I don't belong here. I'm not good enough. Like, I don't know why you recruited me. Like, why am I here? I'm like, I said, you belong here. You're definitely better than here. And I'm proving to you that number one, as I said earlier, like, this is what you're going to like next year. I said, we're going to laugh about this next year. Kat. We're going to laugh about this. And we did. Now, Kat ended up becoming an All-American. Kat was the player of the year. Kat was 1,000-point scorer. And the neat part about that is her father went to Bloom. So they're the first parent-child 1,000-point scorer. And her dad's in the Hall of Fame, and Catherine's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, and they're going to be the first parent-child combination in the Hall of Fame as well. So you know, parents, your kids are going to call home.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you that they're not good enough. They're going to tell you that they don't belong. They're going to tell you that they made a mistake, and I'm going to tell you it's all false. They do belong. They definitely didn't make a mistake. It's just the process. And I think parents process, being from Philly, trusting the process, even though we never got to championship, you still have to trust the process because of the process and everything. And people are like, what's the process? It's the effort, it's the execution, it's the energy, it's the focus, it's the discipline. Those are the things. Don't worry about outcomes. The outcomes are going to get there, but you got to trust the process.
Consistency, routine, doing it every day,
Absolutely.
learning that you
Absolutely.
can do it every day. You can bring the same effort every day.
Absolutely.
Coach, I love, and I don't know how, if you describe it this way, but I can tell your coaching style is so much of the Socratic method. There's been so many times where you've told a story, and instead of telling your athlete how to do it, you've asked them the question, what's missing? How would you do it? How would you solve this problem? Where does that come from for you? And has that always been there? Or has that changed in those years?
I think as you get older, it changes. You read more, you become more. I think when you're younger, you think you know it all.
Yeah,
There's not a, I was probably an arrogant SOB when I was younger,
yeah,
without question.
I concur. And I got more athletes that would say the same thing.
I would tell you, some of my athletes probably tell you that too.
Yeah,
But I don't think I was arrogant. I think I was confident. I
yeah,
think sometimes
yeah,
that gets conflated. But for me, I think as you get older, you obviously you have more confidence in yourself, so you don't have to yell or scream or
yeah.
do that to get what you want. I one of the things how I raise my boys, it's don't take things at face value. Ask a question. I'm a big believer. If you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to answer you with a question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I want to get you to think. Well, I want you to get me to think, but I want to get you to think because a lot of times you have that answer. And I'm just trying to teach you that you actually have it in you. And I'm just trying to get it out for you to understand that, to get it out, if that makes sense.
It makes complete sense. How important is that for parents going through this journey to think that way with their kids that you can't solve their problems. You have to help them understand that they either already know the answer, they already know the solution. And if they don't, they're capable of figuring it out on their own.
Mom and dad, I can give you an example because I have my youngest son is in high school. He's 16. He's at a very prominent football program in North Jersey. They just won the state championship this year, and he was recruited to go there. He's recruited to go to a couple of schools. And one of my favorite stories with this is he's being recruited, and the coach sits him down. And of course, we're in the conference room, and all the Division I pamphlets are spread across the desk. And so I've always taught my son eye contact. That's important. And the coach is talking to him, and you see him, he's just looking at all the different pamphlets on the table. And I'm sitting here and I'm nudging him on his knee, going, look up, stop it, just pay attention. And after it was done, I want to go there. I want to go there. And I said, I said, that's great. I said, it's great. I said, but understand something. Because parents, again, this is something you should be asking your kids too in the recruiting process. What if you get hurt? Do you see yourself going there?
Yeah.
What if you don't play? Are you going to be happy that you chose there? Now, I'm really going to make people's heads explode. So I told my son, wherever you choose, that's fine, but you're not leaving there. You're not going to transfer unless they're mentally or physically abusing you. Understand that. Because if I teach you, well, so I'm gonna put that on hold for a second. So if I don't play, I'm gonna prove to them that they should play me. All right. How are you gonna do that? I'm just gonna work hard. Dad, I'm gonna work hard. I'm like, yeah, famous last words. I hear it every day. So he commits there, he signs there his freshman year, because he's a sophomore right now. Freshman year, he's on the freshman team for football and barely playing, getting one or two plays a game, if that. And after the third game, he comes home, he throws his helmet. I want to transfer. So as a parent, okay, I'm like, hold on. Why do you want to transfer? I'm not playing. He's not giving me a chance. He doesn't like, I'm like, stop. Did he tell you he didn't like you? And he's like, no, but you could tell. I'm like, you can't tell anything. So knock it off. I said, are they mentally or physically abusing you? And I already knew the answer to that. I knew the answer was no. He goes, no. I'm like, all right, you ain't going anywhere. And he looked at me and I said, listen, in life, no one's giving you anything. You got to earn everything you get in life. So if you want this really bad, you tell me you're going to prove it to them, you're going to prove it to them. You got to get bigger. You got to get stronger. You got to put the work in. You're not doing that. You're telling me practice is going great. That's fine. But so it's going great for that other kid too. What are you doing to stand out? What are you doing to get your coach to notice you that you should get more time? So you're not doing it. I said, and the last thing I'm going to say to you is, if I allow you to transfer right now, the only thing I'm teaching you is that when stuff gets hard, cut and run. And you're not going to do that. You're going to fight. You're going to find out who you are. This year, he started JV. He got in one of the playoff games on varsity. It was a blowout. And the coaches said to me, and it doesn't mean that he's going to play as a junior, but just getting bigger. He's filling out. He's taken to the workouts. I really like his future. And he did. He went from being about 5'9", 5'10", to 170 pounds. He's 6'2", 205 right now. And that's because they lift and they get after it. But he would have missed all that. Yeah. So parents, it's a process. Sometimes kids don't play as freshmen. And you know what? That's okay. But you got to trust the process. You got to trust your kids. You got to trust how you raised your kids, that they're going to learn how to fight and they're going to roll their sleeves up and get in it to fight for themselves because they can. And I think that gets missed sometimes because if John or Mary are not playing, well, the coach doesn't like them, so we got to go take them somewhere else.
And it happens as an adult too. You and I both had jobs that were just garbage. Just garbage. They never won. They didn't know how to win. They didn't know what they were doing. And if I would have stayed here, if I would have stayed flat and said, I'm just going to do what's given to me and take what's given to me and either deal with it or leave, I never would have achieved anything.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many kids over the years have just said, when I've asked them the same question you asked your son, and they've said, I'm going to work harder. And my response is, so it's taken me to point out that you're not working hard, that all of a sudden you're now going to work harder? Why didn't you work harder in the first place? Why weren't you leading the sprints? Why weren't you the first one in the weight room? Why weren't you the first one to read? Why all of a sudden now that you've failed or you're disappointed or you now want to leave, or are you deciding that you're going to work hard? Instead of figuring out, here's where I'm at. How do I make this better? Right?
I agree. And you find out so much about yourself as a person. You find out that you can handle so much more. And you know what? Then he actually is in love with his school, his team, and everything about it. Yeah. Loves his coach. Loves the program, loves his teammates. But he would have missed out on that. So it's like you find out a lot about who you are, and that's part of the process. And then you're going to be able to teach that to your kids and to your friends, right, and to whoever else. But it's hard. Yeah. And people don't like hard. People want easy.
It's the greatest gift we can give our kids is the gift of figure it out, go do it. If there's an apocalypse tomorrow and there's no electricity and there's no plumbing water, we're going to figure it out, or we're not going to be around very much longer. So figure it out.
Listen, you don't think it crossed my mind that I might be setting my kid up to fail by telling him to stay?
Yeah.
Like, you don't think I'm like, maybe he's not cut out for this.
Yeah.
I believe he was, but that's crossed my mind. I'm like, am I hurting my kid? Am I holding him back? There's only one way to find out.
All right, coach. Is there a kid that's not capable of it?
The kid that's not capable is the kid that's not trying.
That's what I mean.
And to me, I think everyone is absolutely capable of achieving whatever it is that they want.
Yeah.
I believe that. I always tell our players all the time, I believe in you. If you meet me halfway, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But you can't, I think sometimes they use our confidence in them as the foundation, but it's not. What are you doing outside to confidence? I had a kid at Colgate tell me, you don't believe in me. I said, what do you mean I don't believe in you? I gave you a $300,000 scholarship. What do you mean? And she looked at me. I'm like, yeah, you got a full ride. You got a $300,000 scholarship. So there's all the belief that anyone needs.
Yeah.
I brought you here. I believe in you. Did I throw you off? Am I kicking you off? Absolutely not. I said confidence for you is generated by what you're doing outside of practice. What are you doing outside of practice? Are you getting the reps? We're telling you this is how we want you to play. This is how we want you to score. This is how we want you to be. Are you doing that? And if you're not, that's fine, but you're choosing that. I'm not.
Okay.
And I'm here to help you. Anytime you want, you ask, I'm there. So it's, I think a lot of times people think, oh, the coach doesn't believe we brought you here. What do you mean we don't believe in you? You know, what are you doing to gain that confidence? We'll be here. We'll work with you. Just ask. And you can do it. Mom and dad, they can do it.
That's right. They can. They all have it in them.
They all have it in them. No one's recruiting the wrong kid.
Yeah.
No one's recruiting the wrong kid.
Yeah.
But what you got to do is, you got to tell your son or daughter that what are you doing to help yourself?
Yeah.
And I think that gets lost a lot of times. Mom and dad, we need your help.
That's right. We do. I was a D3 coach for a long time. So every year I would take 1 or 2 kids that just wanted to be a part of the program. I'd tell them each time, I go, you don't have the skill set, the size, the speed to play here. But if you want to be a part of this program, we'll let you be a practice every day. So we'll let you grow. But if you ever want to see the floor, if you ever want to have a varsity uniform, if you ever want to be a person that travels with us, you have to do things to make up a gap that the people in front of you, they're already past it. And there's probably 5 or 6 kids over the years that I'm like, they did it. They put in the work. They took more shots than everybody else. They were in the gym more than anybody else. They were in the weight room more than anybody else. And they transformed themselves into somebody that I would have recruited. If they would have had that skill set back then, I would have recruited. But it took a year, 2 years, 3 years to get there.
You bring up a great point. And I think parents, you need to hear this because again, like I said it in the earlier podcast, like you have to understand, like there's a process. And I always tell freshmen coming in, don't compare yourself to the seniors, the juniors and the seniors, because they should look that way. 100% should look that way.
Right.
You got to compare yourself to who you are. And everyone learns things at different stages. It doesn't mean one player's better than the other or one player's smarter than the other. It's just human nature. You and I we're coaches, but you may pick things up a heck of a lot quicker than I do. Does that mean you're a better coach than I am?
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, probably not, but that's all right. It's one of those things where it doesn't mean that one's better than the other. It's just, it takes a while for that person to understand it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And just trust that you're going to get there.
Yeah.
You got to trust that you're going to get there. And it doesn't matter when you get there, as long as you do get there.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to tell our kids all the time. Who cares? It's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to get there. I promise. But if you put your head down, if you salt your shoulders, if you start worrying about, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, it goes back to, what do you do bring?
That's right.
What do you do bring? Because you bring a heck of a lot more than you realize.
Coach, I'm going to put you on the sideline a little bit. I'm going to make you put your recruiting cap on. I'm going to lead you a little bit because I think parents really need to understand this too. And I definitely know teenagers need to understand this. You're in a tournament, you're watching players, and you see a skill set. You see somebody with handles. You see a great shooter. You see a great athlete. You see somebody that great rebounder, block out every trip, run the floor hard. Are you recruiting them based on what you're seeing? Or is your brain already 2 years ahead in your system, in your offense with the players you already have? Where is your eyes and brain in that moment?
That's a great question. It really is, because any coach that recruits a player for what they are at that point in time is probably not going to last in the profession much longer.
That's right.
Everyone's, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, I didn't do this. Hold on. If I'm basing you on that, I'm not a good evaluator. We recruit on, I told you, we don't use scouting services. Now, NCSA sends me emails. Yes, I will look at them every once in a while, 100%. But I don't use a scouting service. What I do is there's 5 criteria that I my staff and I look for. First one is obviously, people talk about it all the time. We're looking at, are they a good citizen? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, everyone's talking character. Everyone's character, of course. But no, like, what I'm watching for is when your teammate falls, are you sprinting to pick her up? When there's a bad call, how do you react? When you're talking to your coach, are you making eye contact? When you're out of the game, are you cheering or are you at the end of the bench worried about you? We look at those things. Do you sprint to the huddle when your team meets? So those are things that we look for. That's the first thing we look for, because people are like, how do you gauge character? Obviously, it's when you talk to them on the phone, but you see a lot when they're playing because they don't realize their natural instinct of who they really are comes into play. The second thing we look for is motor. Do you take a play off or not? If you take a play off, we don't have time to coach effort. We just don't. You got to keep going and going. You got to be the energizer bunny. And again, you can't, as your motor's going, you're not really worrying about what you just did. You're worrying about that next play. The third thing we look for is skill set, like basketball IQ, basketball skill. And I'm not talking about the skill putting the ball in the basket because that's easy. You can tell who they are. Yeah. We're talking about skill set. Are you on the help side? Do you play angles? Do you know when to cut back door? Do you know when to flare? When you're making a pass, are you passing it to where they need to be? Or are you passing it to where they were and now they got to go behind them? Those are the things that we look for when we talk about basketball IQ. The fourth thing we look for is length. Like I always tease, like in the recruiting process, I would never recruit me. I got Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. Like I literally walk around like this. Doesn't mean I'm cheap, but it's just what it is. And you got to be long. You got to have long length. That's a big part. And the fifth and final thing, and I can take it or leave it, so to speak, but speed is big. And the reason I say that is two of the best players I ever coached, and they're probably two of the best players I did coach. Michelle Whalen at Wilmington, slow, no offense, Michelle, again, but one of the brightest players, like knew how to play the angles so well. And then Jocelyn Ford. I used to tease Jocelyn all the time. I'm like, Jocelyn, we're going to get the calendar out to clock you. And she'd be like, that's all right. They got to do that for you as well. I'm like, you're right. But again, she had the length as well. And she just knew how to play angles. And she was always in the right spot, literally every single time. You can compromise on the speed a bit if they have that skill set and that length.
It's funny. I just had this conversation with another basketball coach the other day. When we talk about speed, anybody that says Larry Bird was slow doesn't understand basketball. Larry Bird was always 3 steps ahead of everybody. So it didn't matter how fast his feet were. He was 3 steps ahead with the angle and his positioning on offense and defense. He was already there. He was already up the floor where he needed to be. His feet were set. And that speed of how he thought is what made him so special.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Great example.
If you're fast, yes, that's a huge advantage in getting up the floor and getting the rebound and getting loose balls, but it's here. It's above the shoulder speed.
It is, because what good is it if you're fast, you don't know how to use it to your advantage?
That's right.
Like, I love my oldest son. He should be in track. And he's fast as lightning, but he didn't, in the game, in basketball, he didn't know how to use it to his advantage.
Yeah. You look at the guys and gals that are really great at taking charges. And I know taking a charge is like nobody talks about it anymore. It's not even a big deal anymore. But the people that take charges, they never get back cut. Their man's never open on the backside.
Nope. They're always in the right spot. Always.
They're always in the
right spot.
Up to the right spot.
You just described Jocelyn Ford. Literally just described Jocelyn Ford.
Yeah. So it's hard for parents, and this is where I struggle in this role that I've taken on, is it's hard for parents that haven't played the game, or maybe they played but weren't taught it at a high level, to understand what we're looking for. Because they go, my kid's averaging 18 points per game. And I go,
that's great.
But
that's not
on a D2 floor in the ECC right now, their head would spin because they're never in position. They're in a situation where their coach gives them 18, 19 shots a game. You're never going to get that at the college level. No one's going to hand you 18, 19 shots a game as a freshman. You have to be able to get open.
Not happening.
Have to be able to create space. You have to be able to run in an offense and learn how to let the offense create some space sometimes. So it's really hard for families that haven't played the game to understand what you're looking for. And I think that's a big struggle in recruiting, don't you think?
I do. Again, like, I think there's a lot of noise in recruiting too. I
Yeah.
think there's, and what I mean by a lot of noise, there's a lot of people telling these kids what they need to look for and what they should look for. And it's my brother, my nephew was being recruited, and I said to my brother, I said, "Have you asked him what he wants?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know
Like,
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
because I said to my brother, I said, "You got to be careful because sometimes you got kids that are they're such pleasers today. They want to please their parents. Some of them, some kids don't want to play. Mom and dad, some of your kids don't want to play. And you really got to pay attention. You got to really know your kid. Because my favorite response from parents when we're recruiting, you don't have to worry about my daughter. She'll be in the gym all the time. I just stare at them. I don't respond anymore. I was dumb in the beginning. I'm like, oh, that's great. This is awesome. So naive. They had no idea.
No
When
idea.
I first got no idea, because it's like, of course they did, because you made them go to the gym. You drove them to the gym, you
And
know?
we're
And
paying a trainer $75
and
an
you
hour.
exactly. Come on. That's why they were in the gym all the time. They had to be. And I'm sitting there going, some of these kids, I need to put the gym in the GPS so they know where it's at.
Right.
So it's, and mom and dad, the difference is it's not that they don't want to get in the gym, but when they come to school, you're not standing over them to say, are you doing A, B, and C? They're experiencing freedom for the first time. So we talk, like, we didn't talk about it yet, but the transition between academics, athletics, and social is so important because you got three factors that are going a million miles a minute that these 18-year-olds don't know how to, you got to teach them how to swallow it down.
Yes.
Because academically, they come in there and they're like, all right, you got to read the first four chapters. And they look at you like, they come in, coach, I have to read the first four chapters. I'm like, yeah. And then we get in and we're doing like 5 different plays and we're doing all this stuff. And they're going, we didn't just do one, we're doing all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can't even tell you about the social aspect where they're experiencing freedom for the first time, where they're like, there's that peer pressure to be able to do this and this. And it's so they're being thrown so many things, mom and dad, a million miles a minute, and they don't know what to do.
That's right. They don't. I came from a town of 2,000 people. No stoplights, no fast food, no nothing.
Yeah.
We had a farm and fleet 15 minutes away where you could get some farm jeans, and there was a Sears about 30 minutes away. So
Yep.
there was no options. I then went to college, a town of about 150,000, and there was a mall. So I wasn't going shopping anymore to go get what I needed. There were all these options I'd never seen before in my life, and all of a sudden, my brain
It's over.
it was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I didn't say girls from everywhere and food from everywhere. It was everything. My whole
Everything.
all my senses were overwhelmed for the first time in my life. And I was like, where do I start? I was the heavy kid at a buffet, and they said, you can eat
Just
every
took the word. That's exactly what it is. And parents, you got to take yourself back to when you first got to college, because
Yeah.
there is no. The only difference is now they got it. They got to get up and do it every day. Mom and dad, they got to do it every day. You're not the one doing it every day. They are. So they got to want to do it. That was the other thing I told my brother. I'm like, you want him to do this because I said, because remember, he's got to get up every day and do it, not you.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that they want to do it for themselves and not for you.
Coach, I would come home from 12 to 18, 12 years old to 18 years old in the summertime, and my hands were black. My face was black. My skin was
Yep.
black because I would play on the asphalt all day long.
Yep.
I loved to play. I had to beg people to come play 1-on-1, 2-on-2.
I'm sure your palm was still white because I'm sure you weren't.
Exactly. There was that little spot of white, but everything was black because that's all I did was play. I drive down the highway, drive down the street. I see empty court after empty court after empty court.
That's because, are you there?
Yeah. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to,
I thought you froze.
no, my brain froze because I don't have the right question, the right answer. How do we get kids to play again? The mother that said, you're going to love my daughter, she's a gym rat. No, she's a training rat because you pay for a trainer, because there's a gun in the gym. Kids, I'm watching Auburn and Arkansas the other day, and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, everybody's 6'7" to 7'1". Everybody looks like a 27-year-old man, unbelievable bodies, and the more I'm watching, I'm like, "There's not one guy I would draft in the first round." They're all amazing athletes, but there's not one guy on that floor I would draft in the first round.
I was talking about it with one of our men's coaches the other day. That's how you learned how to play basketball, by going to the park.
Yeah,
Because if you lost, you didn't get back on. So you had to learn what you could and couldn't do.
right.
And I was telling you about Bernie Rogers. He's the assistant AD and head boys coach at the Harvard School, and he was a Division III All American. But he was like 5'3", 5'4", absolutely one of the best players I've ever seen. And he said if he was 5'8", he would have played Division I, and he's not wrong. And Chris Mooney would ask him, why were you always able to score around all these guys? I go up to the park and I find the 2, 3 tallest guys and I play them one-on-one. And then I figured out what worked and what didn't. And then when I got in the game, there you go. That's what we did. Kids today, and I'm not going to sit here and say it's wrong, because it's just different generations. Today, the generational thing is trainers. Okay, fine. But trainers, I'm going to go to you. What are you doing to help make these kids better? What are you doing to help? Because I'm tired of hearing my trainer. Your trainer has no idea what we do. Your trainer's never been to one of our practices. He hasn't looked at our workouts. So how are you training with this person who has absolutely no idea what we do?
So you can train all day long, but if you
You're
don't know
training
how
the wrong
if
thing.
you don't know how to get your butt baseline and see man and ball when you're 2 passes away, you don't know how to move up and on that rim line and be relaxed when you're playing defense, know how
Yep,
to you're in a space to close out and get to the passing lanes and what angle to push that offensive player, and you know how to hit and drive a guy or a gal that's bigger than you and drive them out of rebounding position. Maybe you don't get the rebound, but you've taken them out of position. I I I'm so frustrated. I've stopped training kids for that reason, because I train them for an hour and the parents go, "Wow, I've never seen them do that before. That's so great. They're advanced." I go, "That's nothing if they don't come back here in 2 hours when there's gonna be 10, 35 to 50-year-old men out here and women playing, and they're not out here learning how to play, because that's where you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn from that person that
yep,
looks like they shouldn't be on the basketball floor, but they're gonna make every pass the right way. They're gonna score on you over and over again when they're out of shape because they know how to play. And you gotta learn how to play with those,
exactly.
right?"
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Coach, give a piece of advice to a 16-year-old that wants to play college basketball. How do they go about being seen, getting noticed, getting your attention? How do they do that?
I think the best way now is you guys send emails. You got to introduce yourself. Find us on Twitter, find us on Instagram, and send your information to us. And don't send one and stop. You're going to have to send multiple. Let us know where you're going to be playing. Let us know what your summer AAU schedule looks like. Give us your high school schedule, what you're playing in the area. You know what I mean? It's tough for us to get out during the season because we got practices and stuff like that. But if you're in the area, we can get our coaches out to watch you play. But definitely send us or your AAU schedule as well, and send highlights. But listen, I always like to see 2 films. Highlights are great, but I could look good in a highlight and I wasn't that good. So definitely send 2 game films. Sometimes I ask you to send one of your worst games because I want to see how you respond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not always send me your best, send me your worst. Because again, it goes back to that character piece. Can I coach you when you're at your worst?
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be times where you're gonna be frustrated and I gotta be able to coach you. You gotta be able to still follow and listen to what I'm trying to teach you.
Yeah. Maybe send me your worst game and then send me the game after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see how you react.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Best advice to parents that have a kid that's going through this journey.
Trust the process. Be patient. Do your homework. Try and find out how coaches really are. Because a lot of times coaches are going to tell you what you want to hear. Just like you guys are going to tell us. I'm straightforward. I'm being real. This is who I am. This is how I am.
Yeah.
There's going to be times I'm going to upset your daughter. I'm just being honest because I'm challenging her because she don't want to get outside her comfort zone. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? but do your homework. Find out, have conversations with the coach. Listen to I'm not saying, let me phrase that. Be on that first call. Ask questions. Get
Yes.
them to answer what type of leadership style do you, or what would your players say about you if you weren't there? Do former players come to your games? You know what I mean?
Great
Things of that
question.
nature. You know what
Great
I
question.
mean?
Yeah.
Do you stay in touch with your former players? You got to find out, because your child is your most precious possession. So whoever you're entrusting that to, you're not going to just hand them over. I hope you would do your homework.
I hope so too. Last question. How do you wish high school and club coaches were teaching their athletes about recruiting?
Look for the best fit, not the best offer, because the best offer doesn't
Forget what's
necessarily
on
mean
the
the best
jersey
fit.
and the division level. Yeah.
I told my youngest son, like, a really prestigious Division III school reached out. I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. You'll
Yeah.
be set for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get caught up. Don't get caught up. Look for the best fit. Because again, just like you tell the parents, the kid has to do it every day.
Coach, how would you advise club coaches, AU coaches, high school coaches on what they should be teaching their kids about this recruiting journey?
Again, it's just like we talked about the parents. Look for the right fit. You know what I mean? Don't worry about what the jersey says, what level. I think a lot of times, particularly the trainer, like the AU coaches, club coaches, they try to tell you like, yo, you got to go to the highest level you possibly can. But that's great. But is that really what is best for that student athlete? I don't think so. I think you got to look for what's the best fit for that individual. And obviously it's different for each player. And I think now with today, we didn't even touch upon it, but like the NIL and the transfer portal, it's mom and dad. I got to be honest with you. A lot of these D1 schools are not looking at high school kids. They're just not. Unless you're the creme of the creme, they're not looking at your son or daughter. They're just not. And that's okay. I one of the things, I like, I'm a Division II coach. My son's club coach is telling his players, just go to Division II or Division III, get your stats and move up. I'm like, oh, star school. Come on. You're killing my profession. But I think at the end of the day, you got to look at where, for the right fit.
Yeah.
And parents, if your offers are Division III, your kid is Division III. They're not missing it. Stop trying to make your son or daughter something that they're not. And I think that gets lost too. And I think people are always like, oh, I know my son, I know my daughter. And that's great that you do. It don't matter. It doesn't matter that you know your son or daughter. It's what those coaches think of your son and daughter. And that's what you have to understand.
It's the idea of marrying a Victoria's Secret supermodel and driving a Ferrari is great, but I'm 6'1", over 200 pounds, and me getting into that car on the bottom and trying to drive that thing, and then the maintenance that comes with it, and the insurance that comes with it, not so great. And then that supermodel, she might not all have a personality. She might not make you laugh. She might not make you feel like you're in a relationship. You're constantly giving. Sometimes you got to go where happiness is and where you're
Right. You got to go where you're wanted.
got to go where you're wanted.
Go where you're wanted.
That's,
What's wrong with that?
what is wrong with that?
Like, again, going back to my son that is at that high school, I told him, like, you choose this school. That's great. I support it. Trust me, because I love the lessons he's getting. That school has done wonders for him. I'm like, but understand something. They'll recruit over you.
Yeah, they will.
And he looked at me. I'm like, they'll recruit over you.
Yeah.
So don't get comfortable, because when you get comfortable, that's when they're going to go recruit over you. And mom and dad, they're going to recruit over your kids. They just are, because at Division I today, it's not about development anymore, because there is no developing. They have to be developed by the time they get there. Division I schools are looking at players. They're looking at student athletes that are already developed, and they're paying them millions of dollars.
That's right.
So Division I athletics is no more, it's not amateurism anymore. It's a business.
That's
So
right.
understand that.
Do your recruits come in and scrimmage with your girls before you make an offer? Is that a good thing for you? Do they ever get that time?
I'm a dinosaur, I told you. I'm looking at them. You asked a question. Can I tell in 5 minutes? Yes,
30
I,
seconds.
I can tell. I can tell whether I want this kid in my program or not. I can.
Does it help you to get feedback from your girls on an overnight or on a visit though, to where they say,
Oh,
I
100%.
really just want her,
I listen.
you need to back up a little bit here on this one?
So I'll give you 2 stories, if you don't mind.
Please.
I'm at Bloomsburg, and my players say to me, we had an overnight with these kids, and they came in my office the next morning, and they're like, do not offer them. They don't fit. We went back. Remember, I told you I was arrogant a little bit when I was younger. Hey, they're fine. We already offered them. We're
Yeah.
fine. They commit. I'll never forget, after the kids, their freshman year, my seniors came in. You got to cut them. They're not the right kids. You forget how you were as a freshman. Do you remember how you were as a freshman? All this stuff, blah, blah, blah. They were right.
They're right.
So you want to talk about learning? I go to Colgate. Players come in my office. This kid's not a fit for the program. Done. Called the kid up. You're not a fit.
Yeah.
Went another direction.
Yeah. Go find another place that can be a better fit.
Sorry. It's just the players didn't, and I said it, the players didn't feel you were fit. And that's just as important to me. And they know.
It isn't the case though, as we get older, you and I are about the same age, where the more we let go of that rope of ownership and we hand it over, the more the ownership is taken.
Yeah. And you talk about what would you say to your younger self? That's what you're telling yourself. Because my 27-year-old self as a head coach would never have listened.
Yeah.
And I was, at that time, I was 33 when they told me that. I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
and then I was 41 when it happened the second time. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm listening. I believe you. We're good. And
Yeah.
that was it.
I had a young coach ask me the other day, this would have been my 26th year and 27th year in coaching at the college level. If I would have stuck it out, and they asked me what I would have done differently, I go, I was a 95% drill, 5% maybe scrimmage guy. I think I would flip the switch today and I would teach so much more in context and scrimmaging than I ever did. Like we never scrimmage at all, hardly until maybe end of December, January. 5, 10 minutes of true scrimmage.
I'm laughing because Wilmington, Bloomsburg, we were, even Colgate,
Yeah.
my first couple years here, up and down.
Yeah.
I feel we're doing more drills today.
Yeah.
Our kids are asking for it because they don't know. They
Yeah.
don't know. It's amazing what, and these kids, they all have trainers. What are your trainers doing?
I mean, you can only do so much with one kid. You if you're training 8 kids at a time, yeah, you can get a lot done. You can do 4 on 4 and really develop offense and defense. But if all you're doing is movement and drills and handling the ball and getting open in space, now all of a sudden you don't know how to handle a help side. You don't know how to handle a double team. You don't know how to handle a 3-2 zone or a trap because your trainer can't teach that to you one-on-one.
They don't know,
And they don't know.
and they don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah. Coach, you are fantastic. I hope you don't I'll call you a friend because my gosh,
Absolutely.
man, I love what you're doing. I love your attitude. We're two peas on the same pod in terms of how we look at raising kids. But thank you so much for sharing your energy and your love for teaching and coaching and mentoring with my audience and me. And I'll be cheering like crazy for you guys the rest of the way.
No, I appreciate it. And again, I really appreciate this opportunity. And if anyone has any questions, they can always reach out. I love helping people. That's why we both got in it, right? It's coaching is a service. And when anything I can do to help, just Sign me up. That's what I'm here for.
And if you're in the area of St. Aquinas College, man, go watch a game. If you don't know what the differences between JUCO, NAI, D3, D2, D1, go watch coach, go watch the competition, and you'll know very quickly that it's not just, I can just go play there.
Yeah,
So thanks for doing this,
it
Coach.
is. No worries. And it's St. Thomas Aquinas College. St.
So what
Thomas,
did I say?
St. Aquinas. So
St.
just want
Thomas.
to make sure, because if they go to St. Aquinas, they're not going to see me. Just one.
I'm so bad with my tongue twister. So glad you for
No worries. Trust me. No
and I'm
worries.
looking at your website right now, so I couldn't even read it because it was right in front of me. So
No worries.
St. Thomas Aquinas College. Thank you,
Yeah.
Coach. We'll talk
Thank you.
soon.
Absolutely. Take care. See ya.